Hi guys, thank you for checking in at the Sea Kayaking UK repairs channel. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at how to repair a kinked skeg wire. A skeg is the only moving part really on one of these sea kayaks, and therefore it's really the thing that goes wrong most often. So a kinked skeg wire usually occurs if somebody's had their skeg down and then they've landed on a beach or hit a rock, and that forces the skeg back into the box and kinks the wire. Unfortunately, what then happens is it doesn't matter how hard you pull the slider on the side of the kayak, the skeg won't deploy. Alternatively, it may be that you can't get the skeg to come back up. The only way to fix it really is to replace the wire. The first tool you're going to need is a 2.5mm Allen key, stainless steel wire, which is what we put in as standard. It's what your kayak will come with. You can use some of this, which is 3mm nylon cord, and it's actually often sold as strimmer cord. The benefit of this is it can be cut with conventional scissors, excellent for repairs in the field or with limited tools. Okay, so step number one is to take your 2.5mm Allen key and locate that into the grub screw inside this slider. Okay, we're going to loosen that. It's important at this stage that this is not over loosened. I will show you why in a moment. What I've done here is I've taken the slider and toggle out of the box just so that I can show you how this works. What we must never do is over loosen the grub screw. I will show you now what happens. If the slider moves along the bar like this and comes away from this hole, it can be very difficult to relocate. Please remember, when loosening the grub screw, only loosen it enough to release the wire inside the tube. The way to be sure that this has worked is to move the slider back slowly, and what you should see is the wire protruding now. Okay, so the next stage is to actually remove the kinked skeg wire. So turn the boat on its side at this point. Make sure it's balanced. We need to pull the skeg out. Sometimes you need something just to start that process off. Once you've managed to get hold of the skeg, pull it, and then it unhooks from the front of the skeg box here. Pull all of the wire out. Now you can see there is the kink in the skeg wire. That is the problem. What we need to do now is just remove the old wire from the skeg blade. Using the same Allen key, we loosen this bolt until you can see that the bolt disappears in this hole here. Once you can no longer see it in this hole, you can remove with a firm pull the old wire. We do sell these replacement skeg wires. They should be long enough to fit all of our kayak models, and they'll come with taped ends. We are finally at the stage of feeding the new wire. We're going to be feeding this into the hole in the end of the slider bar. Can take a little bit of getting in initially. Once it's in, it's useful to just place your finger behind the wire so that you've got something to push against as you feed. Just keep feeding the wire. You might hit occasional bits of resistance until you see the wire starting to protrude out of the skeg box at the back of the boat. We're now at the stage where we've got about 30 centimeters of wire sticking out of the skeg box. We're going to take the skeg blade and reattach that to the wire. The hole here in the top of the skeg blade, we're going to feed the wire into there. Locate the wire. Once you see the wire in this hole here, it has to actually go about another 5 mils beyond this hole to be fully secure. There, I can feel that I've reached as far as I can go. Place a thumb and a finger either side of that hole, and then as we tighten this, that'll prevent the wire from moving out sideways. That is now fixed. Perfect. What we need to do now is clip the skeg back inside the box. It's this little slot here. It's going to locate over that pin. Excellent, we're moving along nicely now. So the next stage is to take up the excess wire. So I'm going to move back to the slider. I'm just going to start pulling it in until the skeg is located back inside the skeg box. Excellent. we've now got it so that the Skeg blade is fully retracted. So if I look back along the kayak, I can't see the Skeg blade. It's fully inside the kayak. And we've got quite a lot of excess wire. So this is where we're going to trim it. Important thing here is to ensure that this slider is all the way towards the back of the kayak. Now, we're going to take our wire cutters and we're going to make a cut in the wire at the front of this box. And what should happen is the wire should fall inside the box. Excellent, so we're very nearly finished now. The last job is to push this slider back towards the front of the kayak until it stops, and then retighten the grub screw. Good work, now we just need to test it. So this is the moment of truth after all of our hard work. So I'm going to push the slider back, and we've got a nice smooth movement there, and the Skeg deploys and comes back in. Perfect. During this process of making this repair, it's possible that some things could go wrong. One of the main things that can happen is that it can be very difficult to feed the wire into the tube. Inside the kayak cockpit, on the left side, usually on the left side, you will find this fitting. Now this is a push fitting that grips this tube. So to remove the push fitting, first thing to do is just to check that the collar on the end of the push fitting turns freely. If it doesn't turn freely, what you need to do is just spray a bit of WD-40 or some other oil on there and wait a little while. Once it's turning freely, push that collar towards the front of the kayak and you should see the joint close. Once you've done that, hold it forwards and pull the tube firmly and the tube will come out. What you can now do is you can feed the wire into the end of the tube and then feed the other end of the wire into the Skeg slider housing. Once that's done, we obviously need to put this fitting back together. You simply push the tube back into the fitting, push it forward firmly until it won't go any further, and then gently pull back. And the collar should come open and grip the tube. Thank you for visiting the Sea Kayaking UK in the workshop channel today. We are planning a whole series of videos looking at different repairs and retrofits. So if there's anything you would like to see, please reach out, get in touch, and we will see what we can do. Anything that you saw involved in the repairs today, we do sell on the Sea Kayaking UK shop. So please check that out if you need anything. Thank you. See you again.